Well, hello there, Russ.
Electric. Oh dear. Oh, I shouldn't have
Hello,
done
Tammy.
that. Oh.
Hello, Mr. Potter. Welcome to another edition of UFO Encounters Cryptid Phenomenon. So, I see you made the paper again, I see.
That's right. Yeah. What it is basically, I moved across here to the East Coast, and I'd investigated this area for years before, in 90s. And funnily enough, one of the things was about there'd been this creature seen, which was called like a wolfman and dogman, right? The guy didn't turn up. We travelled all the way over. Wow, I've seen that. I'll have to buy one. Are they for
Yes,
sale?
Dogman.
Right. I'll definitely have to send you because I want one. Anyway, so the thing is, we came all the way over, which was like 60 miles, with a couple of members, and this chap didn't turn up, and the mobiles were about, but very expensive, and sort of like, so nobody called or anything. They called a couple of days later when we went back home, but they'd also said that in this area where I live now, just outside, there's a place called Flixton, and it goes back, and there's supposedly something called the Flixton werewolf, right?
Oh, wow.
And not that I've seen it, but history says that there was something around here. Sort of like in the records going back, like parish records, old like newspapers, etc. So, and you'll find this in the UK, in most countries in America. You'll have the same thing, where stories have made the paper about things that have paranormal, creatures that have been seen, etc. Whether you want to call it folklore, legend, but it's basically written down, and it's noted that these things have been seen. Obviously, no proof as such, like what we have today with cameras, etc. And so we were looking around, and I'd seen one or two things. Now, I was saying to a couple of friends, we're seeing stuff, And another friend that it was not into UFOs and cryptids as much as myself, but a lad that used to come out occasionally with us, and what have you. And he says, yeah, Russ, he says, and you know why he's always catching things on video camera and you're not? And I said, well, I haven't got a video camera. So he says, yeah. So anyway, what I did was, one of the members in the group, I had a night vision camera. No, a camera with a night vision adapter. It was a Russian adapter camera,
Right.
what came through, and they were expensive then, these Russian night vision. And I got this adapter to go on, and it fit on, so sort of like you could take a shot at night time, and what have you. You weren't sure of what was going to come out because it was a normal camera. It wasn't a digital camera.
Right.
Cellulose camera, right? Yeah. So, sort of like I'm taking pictures of things. And what I did was I had a Jackson guitar, and wasted on me. I've got guitars in house, and so I can't play. I try to, but I've got ME, so I by the time I get around, I get bored. You know what I mean? And sort of like, and
Right.
can't be bothered.
Yeah.
So I bought this camera, and as soon as I turned it on and we're going out. I started filming flying triangles, all sorts of things coming down and zapping me and that type of thing. So this is going back now to 1998, 99, 2000. I filmed my first flying man. Right. And this is before they were even spoken about flying men. But the thing is, it wasn't a flying man. Right. Everybody called it a flying man, a jet to see, etc. But me and Tony, who I'd gone to see because there'd been lots of talk about this area where I'd been seeing things myself, and we're going up and having a look around this area called Queensbury. And one of the things, what we had reported, and you will not believe this, I've got it in as report forms, and you'll never guess, Chris, what it was. And this is unbelievable. It was a pterodactyl.
What?
It was a pterodactyl.
You're the third person that actually told me that.
What, from Queensbury in England?
That's actually seen one.
I didn't see one. We had this reported to us, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Where he lived, where Tony lived in Queensbury. So the neighbours came round, and because I'd been in paper, even back then, right? Yeah, sort of like I was filming and making the paper. There were film crews wanting to film, and we did one or two things with ITV and cable channel, and some of the cable channels, what we did, sort of like came and went, if you know what I mean. It only lasted 2 years, but it was fantastic time. We've been to Granada TV on shows, me and a couple of my group, and it's all great. So we're talking about things that had been seen, which people are saying, well, there isn't such a thing as a pterodactyl.
Right.
Sort of like they were extinct. And I said, yeah, but it's what we've had reported to us. And there were more than one person that had seen it. A family had seen it. And I spoke to the man and his son. And at Tony's house. And they were saying, yeah, but Russ, don't get us in the newspapers, for goodness sake. Right? I had newspapers at my house all the time. Anyway, so I said, I would promise anybody, you tell me, and you don't want it to go, sort of like public, you can use the story, but don't use the names or the addresses or anything like that.
Right.
And sort of like, because I've never have done a good rapport with, witnesses and with the media also. So we're going up looking, some nights we'd see nothing. Some nights would be frozen, Some nights one of us would go home and something would turn up. Yeah, it was like they don't want you to see all together sometimes, It's just one of those things that don't know why. But anyway, so it was this night I'd gone up and we'd been talking, and I'd bought this camera, and Tony he had a fantastic camera, a Sony. Am I allowed to say so? Anyway, he bought this camera, fantastic, better than the one that I had. And I knocked on his door and I was telling him I'd got this new device, and it was a sat-nav. Now, it's nothing now, but then it was. And it was expensive, and I did a swap anyway. To cut a long story short, wasted on me. I could tell him that, like how many satellites above there were and what have you. And I'm talking to him and saying, it said there's 7 satellites above. And I looked up. And I looked up again. And I couldn't believe what I'm looking at. So I throw the nav in the back. I'd open the back of the car, through the satellite navigation, grabs my camera, puts the battery in, turns it on. By that time, I'm looking over to ask, have you seen that? I could see by his face, he'd got binoculars from hung up at side where coats are hung up. And he's got a camera. Yeah, better than mine. And he grabs the binoculars. And I just started filming. By this time, it had gone over and it started coming down behind these fences. Or this fence, I should say. And, you know, I'm saying, you know, like, I've got it, you know. And I'm saying, I'm going to have a look to see where it's gone. And he's saying, oh, don't go too far, Russ, don't go too far. And I stopped. And he said, come on, I'll put kettle on, you know. So back then, you'd rewind it and you'd put the adapter in and plug it to your telly.
Right.
So we sat down seeing if I'd caught it. Well, I'd seen I'd caught it, but did it come out? Because sometimes you could film these things and they won't turn up, you know what I mean, on the video. So puts it on and it is there. And he said, that's just, you could hear him talking. That's just straight, you know, like, and it's coming down now. And I looked at him and I says, that's in trouble. And he says, yeah. I said, I'm going to go look for it. He said, I won't go look for it, Russ. Not yet. Leave it. And I says, no, I said, I'm going to have to go have a look and you know, in this area. So anyway, we're talking a couple of hours and he's agitated. He wasn't a wild man. He were a lovely chap. Anyway, so it were about 2 hours. And I said, right, I'm going. He gives, well, look, Russ, he says, not being funny, don't go looking for it, mate. So, you know, oh, okay. So I went looking for it. So anyway, the next thing I knew, I'd got in and it must have been 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock, I think it was, if I remember rightly. And I wasn't looking for missing time or anything, but, you know, my mum and dad, you know, go to work, I go to work, and it says, oh, you're a bit late in, you know, we expected you a bit sooner. They were still up and what have you, but ready for going to bed. And I thought, well, yeah, that's a bit odd, you know. So the next day, I took my video camera and went to the area. And not only did I take my video camera, I took my normal camera, you know, and I took some photographs. And it wasn't until later on when I looked, I noticed that the area, right, yeah, where I'd actually, that's my motorbike. Oh. Flipping heck. Right, where is it now? Just bear with us a minute. So where I'd gone, and I was, you know, sort of like filming, looking for this this object. They're all of me on my motorbike. I don't know. Just bear with a minute. They're there. Stuck together, that's why. So this is the area where it came down.
Oh, that's a big field.
Oh, it's massive. Yeah. Right?
Right.
So, and can you see anything in the sky?
I see another big mountain.
You see anything there?
Oh, yeah, you sure do. That is crazy.
Can you see it?
Yes. Yeah, you sure can.
Now, it was me mate that turned around and he says, "Have you seen that, Russ?" And I'm saying, "That'll be a speck of," and he gives it. I don't think it is, Russ. So I'm looking, and he says, and I'm looking at this one, right? Yeah, and he gives it. Can you see the flying triangle? Can you?
Yeah, in the background, you sure can.
This is the area where it came down, right? Yeah. So anyway, I was going to scan these and put them on, but my scanner's just packed in. You know what I mean? Brilliant. So that means I've got to buy a new scanner now. So anyway, missing time, pterodactyls. Then what we got told was, Russ, can you get upright fast? There's a white helicopter just landed. Right, yeah, with NASA on the side.
And you okay?
Yeah.
Huh.
So, and it was on the map, it was just about quarter of a mile from his house. And he says, you know, all the neighbors are out, you know, sort of like looking at. So anyway, excuse me. What happens is, I give this story to the news, and it came and it was showing at 12 o'clock. Tea time, it's going to be on. So we're all ready. Now, unfortunately, there was a massive crash. And what happened was they asked an an editor of a magazine his opinion of what I'd filmed, and he said an hang glider.
A hang glider.
Right. So because of him saying that, I didn't find out until much later, right? Yeah. And I said, he said, what? He says, an hang glider. So there's a lot more of this story about going to have it looked at as well. And all of a sudden, somebody's opinion changed from what it could be. Oh, it's amazing. And oh, well, and sort of like started backpedaling. So I realized that, you know, people that are saying that they've got a magazine and we've got the truth in here is bullshit.
Wow.
You know, it's like, hang on. You know, sort of like if you look at the video footage of the flying man, you know, sort of like, it is like, you just look at it and you just can't, it's clear, but when you zoom in, things happen. It starts blurring. Now it's like crystal clear when you're looking at it, but as soon it's almost like there is a force field around it. Now, I've come across this before with people that are film craft, and it looks okay. You start zooming in and you start trying to, you know, sort of like some of the packages, what you get, you know, editing packages. And they say, well, it's a bit odd because it's sort of like it's blurred now. You know, sort of like, now it's like anything else. If you get a photograph at certain distance, at close range, if it's a close range object, it'll be crystal clear. You go away from it, and it'll be blurred. If you get something crystal clear from a distance, you've got it. If you zoom in, sometimes you can go in too much and it goes out of focus.
Right.
You know, that's just how it is. So you've got to find the happy medium to get a good image, you know. So I'm thinking, you know, what's going on here? You know, sort of like, and then I noticed other things. People talking at conferences, and I'm not talking at conferences. Right, yeah. I've got they want my video footage, but they don't want me talking. And I'm thinking, and one of my friends turned around and he gives it, I'm telling you now, you know, sort of like, something wrong here. You know, there's people that are investigators that sort of like don't know from the elbows. And all us are doing is going and, you know, like, and getting on through somebody else, you know, who's what you called, you know, I won't say big in, because nobody's big in any of this, as far as I'm concerned. Because when you've got the real deal that's having it happen to them, how can somebody who's researching know more than me when it's happening to me? You know what I'm saying? You can't possibly, nobody can understand if you've been abducted. Only the person that's been abducted. Nobody's got those feelings, the emotions. Nobody can understand what it feels like. You know what I mean? It's like they can only assume, and they can only, you know, sort of like write what they think. It's their opinion. Opinions are like buttholes. Everybody's got one.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And that's as you know, that's all I'll say. It's totally different when you're the person, you know, who it's happening to. And one of the guys basically turned around and gives it, you know, something, you're what you call a conduit, right? Yeah. Because wherever you are, they are. Right. So I'm thinking to myself, not being big headed, this is what people are telling me, you know. So this is why I, you know, sort of like, it's all right researching, but, you know, sort of like, there's a lot of factors, you know, sort of like people have got to look at and sort of like realize, you know, sort of like, it's like, all right, looking at a manual. And if you've got a manual and you know, you join and it's saying, all right, you've got to learn this to become, if you've got to learn something to tell you how to investigate, pack it in. You know what I mean? Common sense, go by common sense. And if you get it wrong, you get it wrong. You learn as you go on, you know, sort of like everybody does, you know, sort of like, it's like you've probably come when you first became an officer, but you know, you've got what you're told, but when it's real life, that's a different matter. You know what I mean? There's what you're told and there's what you learn from experience. And unfortunately, if you're not one of us, you'll never experience that. And the thing is, I hope you never do, because it's not a good thing. And this is what I try to tell people. You know, it's like being an abductee, being a conjurer, having these things around all the time. You know, sort of like it does something. Every day you get up, it's the same thing. You know yourself. You've got a show. You want to find out. Even though I know, I set a group up, right, to find out if anything happened to anybody else, like it had happened. Selfish reasons in a way. But I set the group up purposely, you know, like UFOs. Have you seen a UFO? My friend said, if you look at UFOs and abductions, you might get close to what happened to you. You know, so I thought, yeah, I'll set this, you know, meeting of a UFO group every month, and the people coming and telling us stories. not like mine, similar, abduction stories and,
Right.
but it really, if you think about it, it's like frightening. There's some people that can't even talk about what's happened to them. There's some people that can't even talk. It's just, it's ruined their lives. I'm lucky in a way because I've, like, get on with it. I was told, sort of like, just get on with it, Russ.
Yeah. Now, Tammy wants to know, do you have any other photos you can share? Or because everybody believes here. What about what about that magazine you were showing me, the newspaper article you was in?
Yeah, I was in yesterday. This is that what front page, and it says underwater UFO base in Yorkshire, right? That was the front, only a little bit, and this is me, and it's nearly a full page. Now, what it is I filmed 2 flying triangles at night time, so it's dark, but right next to the road. And you can see these flying triangles come out of the sea. There's about 20 minutes of me filming them. And, sort of like, I took them down off of me YouTube because I was getting, like, what it is, it's jealous. It's like, I've had the same today with comments and what have you, like, oh, you're pointing in your picture, you're pointing. But that picture is a well-known picture of me pointing of the Berwyn Mountains where a UFO crash landed and 5 aliens got out and there were 2 injured, right? Yeah. And I wrote a book about that as well, about all the documentation what I got together. And I were finding discrepancies in the timeline, and people that said that they were there were never mentioned in the police, in any of you've got the police logs, and in none of them logs does the police name these people, does it name where they'd gone to meet these people, but yet everybody else that had rung in and they'd rung, the names were there, the telephone numbers, the actual house numbers were there. So you got to ask, how comes these people talking about this incident on TV, right? Yeah, are never mentioned in all these. I've got the file here. If you want to have a look at how big the file is of all the police reports, it's called the incident major incident log, right? Yeah,
right.
And the time, this is another subject, really. This is about England's, or Wales, I should say, Great Britain's, like Roswell in 1973. So,
Yeah, so a lot of people that don't know Russ, he is constantly in the media. He's in the newspapers, BBC, and other news stations. So, yeah, he is the well-known guy for the UFO phenomena in UK and Britain and over there. So, yeah, he's the go-to guy.
Well, the thing is, I wasn't able to what it was, I'd been asked to go on many of the programs, like shows, but I was a carer for somebody who was seriously ill. And basically they died of cancer, so it was my mum. So I couldn't get out. And then I was ill myself with ME. And then, I've got these operations to have later on in the year. So, like, I decided, because I'm not getting out with my camera and filming because of being in a lot of pain. So now I've put a camera up you know, like a security camera. It's not security. It's basically for UFO spotting, and I'm catching stuff. So what I'll do, you know, sort of like I will put a load of stuff together to show people. I've put stuff up on me YouTube, but I'll save some stuff for you if you want to show, you know, and see what you think. And the thing is, I'm not sure about some of this. I'm saying to a friend, you know, is this a spider's web with condensation? I'm looking at what it could be. You know what I mean? Sort of like, it could there be a spider's web because they make them in a couple of hours and what have you, and condensation. You've got to look at everything. But I know that this isn't. It's not, you know what I mean? But what is it? And I've gone out with another camera to look up at the camera, another infrared camera, and I can't see anything. And I'm thinking, how come? You know, we just did. I was just on a TV last month, and it was called Something Caught on Camera. Well, I forgot what they called it now. Evidence caught on camera as something.
Paranormal caught on camera.
Say again, sorry.
Paranormal caught on camera.
Yeah, it was some caught on camera. Anyway, I'm on that, but I've been doing so many, to be quite honest. They've come over and the video, and then they've gone away, and I'm supposed to be going now, but I've told them can't travel. I'm in a lot of pain. You know what I mean? I'm supposed to be looking at the site where a UFO crashed. And I'm supposed to be going with a couple of guys, and we're supposed to be detecting this area. Now, we've got 4 areas of interest. You know, sort of like from these records, from this group. They've all passed. I mean, they were getting on when I first started. You know, and now, you know, sort of like the you know, passed away. You know, but you know, this is it. There's so many things. You know, like round here, that area I was telling you about where I filmed. It's famous for Captain William Shatner, and I don't mean from Star Trek. And it's funny, yeah. And he crashed into the sea, chasing a UFO. Right? There's all sorts. I've filmed other things as well, but unfortunately, somebody's walking, and I don't want to. I'm trying to cut them out of this you know, video. It's only a short video because I say, look at that. What are them? So I've been told it's public land, and you've got the right to film, and if they're on it, they're on it. You can't see, but I don't like doing stuff like that. You know what I mean, Chris?
Right.
I don't like taking liberties with people. But you know something? People take liberties with me, and I'm getting to think to myself, you know what? You know, maybe you're right. You know, maybe, you know what? Tough. You shouldn't have walked in front of my camera.
Yeah, that, you know, it's a lot of people are really stringent about that lately. You know, they don't want to have anything to do with Bigfoot, the cryptids, or the paranormal, or UFOs. They don't want to be tied to it. The embarrassment.
No,
you know,
this is just because I've got you know, walking, and they don't know I'm filming UFOs. You know what I mean? It's just it's not because of that. It's just a case of, you know, I haven't asked, but then again, I didn't see them. I just turned around and filmed, and I just got somebody. So I probably won't use it because I've got better things, you know, sort of like getting zapped by balls of light coming down and zapping me and what have you when I'm filming with one of my friends, you know, in the group. You know, sort of like, and I've got so many clips. You're saying, can I show you anything? right? Well, I've shown you those two, and you can see that there's definitely things on from the night when I've videoed the flying man, right?
Right.
Now, what it is, like, I've just done. I can't say too much, but I've just signed a contract, so I can't show too much, if you know what I mean, because I signed a contract, and they go, well, sort of like, you signed a contract with us and you've shown other people it first. So I can't really do it now at the moment, but
Right.
I can show you other footage. If you have a look on flying saucer television, if you go on there, you can see some of the footage up there. Amazing stuff. Some real amazing video footage from me and a couple of my friends, well, one of my friends, and we were out all the time, and we were catching things. Now, what is coming, I can tell you now. There was a flying saucer that landed. Now, we've already done a story on it, but the video footage, the problem is, because it's at night time, it's hard to reproduce that footage in a newspaper, etc. Right? Yeah.
Right.
And with it being 10-year-old, it's like past. They say, oh well, it's past its sell-by date, but yet they're still, sort of like flogging to death Roswell, Rendlesham Forest, and what have you. You know what I'm saying? So how can you say, well, it's not. It's because journalists said, oh well, it's there. We use that, and it's easy for them. You know what I mean? What we need to do is start saying, well, look, how comes he is filming this stuff out to sea, right next to the road, right? Yeah, and flying triangles, taking off, no sound, right? Yeah, it's practically impossible. How comes that these two big craft are there at the side of the road? You can see right at the beginning of the video. So anyway, they take off and go down, and they go down where Schaffner's aircraft came down, right? All this area, we've got the what do you call it, Wolfman, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, like, now the other thing is, going up the coast, I've come across other things because I do research. I have been and gone out there. So we've got the flying saucer that's landed, which is just at the side, believe it or not, of a caravan park, right? Then what we've got is where that caravan park is, it's a big secret facility, right? And it is run by naval intelligence.
Go figure.
Right? Got to be careful what I say here. Right, yeah. But we're filming around this area, and there's things landing just, I think it's just like a quarter of a mile from this area. Right?
Yeah.
Think about it. So this area, then I'm filming, and we was out, and it was December, and me and my friend, we both filmed the same craft with two different cameras. Now, when the night vision's off, the two balls of light, which are just like a normal light, when you turn the night vision on, there's a tint to them, and the tint is red and sort of light green, and it's left and right. port, and starboard. Now I'm thinking to myself, it's got to be an aircraft. And he's saying it's not an aircraft. And I'm saying, well, and you look at it and there is no wings and there's no fuselage, right? And as it's traveling, you can see the stars between the gap. So you've got a gap, right? And you've got these two lights. No sound, and it goes right over his head. Then I was filming, and these 5 flying saucer like objects went past, and I got my camera out and started filming. A jet fighter flies past, and it let off its electronic countermeasures device.
Really?
That throws out. Now the thing is, what I was told, I sent this video up to Time T's television, and they said police had said, oh, it was only what do you call it, setting electric, you know. And I says, yeah, but it was what happened before that, the 5 flying saucers, that made it do that. And I did it fast, and I'm saying this is what happened. And so they said, oh no, they do that all the time, the test, you know, the test. Then I read in the paper they stopped doing that. They stopped using electronic countermeasures because it was too expensive to use. Right? So I'm thinking, what's going on here? So the police came to house and told me, oh, it's all right, you know, it's only electronic countermeasures. Oh, okay then, yeah. So then I goes out again and I'm filming this dolphin. And I'm saying, oh, it's got to be a balloon. It's just got to be a balloon. I'm looking at, there's no tether coming down. Now, somebody put a picture up the other day of somebody, and there was like a tether. So you would have a tether from the person holding up to the balloon, if it were one of these helium balloons, right? Yeah. But we had it light blasted and everything, and there is no tether. You can't see it. And something, oh, it would be so thin you won't see it. With the technology, with the, you know, the Photoshops and stuff, what you've got, you know, you would be able to see something, you know. So I put in the paper, has anybody seen this? And I had 3 people ring up. Right, yeah. And I'm saying, oh, yeah. And they said, oh, it was us with a balloon. I said, was it? And I says, right, what colour, what balloon? And, oh. And in the background, this bloke shouts out to a woman, asking what colour it was. And she goes, oh, what colour was it? You know. And I gives it, well, if you were flying it, love, you should know. Bye-bye. And put phone down. Obviously, ringing, you know, sort of like, yeah, it was us. So they had no clue. It wasn't them. So then I had somebody else. Bloke rings up and he says, oh, yeah, no to get worried about it with me. I said, what, really? I said, I must have been busy up there. I said, he said, how do you mean? I says, well, I says, you're the 3rd person that's rung up to say it were you. I said, it couldn't have been Ollie. I said, there's only one object. I says, you know, I said, and there's 3 of you have rung up. Put phone down. Then another woman, she rung up and said, oh, yeah, it was me, love. It was me. I said, was it? Oh, yeah. I said, well, that's very strange, is that? I said, what colour was it? Oh, I don't know. I says, I'll have to ask kids. And I said, it's funny. I said, you don't know what colour. I said, the other funny thing is, I says, can you explain? I says, I've filmed one object, right? I said, but yeah, there's 3 people have rung up and said it was, you know, them. And you're saying it was you now. Oh, well, I'm sorry for troubling you. It can't have been me then. And put phone down.
Wow.
So I'm thinking to myself, you know, it can't be, you know, so logic says it can't be three of you. And if you don't know what colour the object was, you know, sort of like, how do you know that it were you? Do you see inconsistencies of these people?
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
sort of like, and people say to me, they think I'm crazy. Huh? What about this lot? These lot are admitting they're doing stuff. And obviously, they haven't, you know, not done it because there's no tether. And this thing, I came back in, I came back out, and it was still there. And I'm thinking, no. But yeah, and then it just disappeared. It just disappeared, you know. Now, it was sort of like, it just totally baffled me. My friends were just like, well, you know, we've seen everything. At least we thought we had. Right?
Right.
So what happens is, because I've been on quite a lot of radio stations over years, and I always used to be on, and funnily enough, for a few years now, they just haven't bothered, you know, sort of like, no big deal. It's still happening. I'm still videoing stuff. So BBC turned around and says, we're going up to this area because we've gone further up because things had been seen up there as well. About 10 miles up now. And so we're filming. And I'm saying, do you want to grab hold of the camera? There's, you know, like, because there's this object, I don't know what it is. But just have a look. And so my friend again says, oh, yeah, I've got it. He says, I've got 3 of them now. Now, I says, it's not a ship, you know, sort of like on the horizon. No, he said, it's not. He said, there's 3 of them now. And I said, let's have a look. And sort of like, so the host of the show is talking and saying, well, you know, to me, it looks like an aircraft. So my mate turns and gives it, it's not an aircraft, he gives it. And I was saying, well, no, I said, because I said, what it's done, I said, it's just moved. It was going from right to left. And then it just moved from left to right and started coming across. I said it would have banked, it would have turned, you'd be able to see its lights, you know. And so all of a sudden now it's coming. Now it's coming across. You can see 2 lights, and you can see this other thing below. And Joe says to me, he says, there's 3 of them. So on the video, you can hear Ellen, and she gives it, oh, I don't like this. I think we call it we'll call it a day, she says. And I said, well, if it's only an airplane, what are you worried? Why are you worried? And it's coming across. All of a sudden, bang, the camera goes dead. And he said, I said, I've just charged it up before we came out. And it happened straight away, so there's plenty of power. So he turned it back on, bang, again. And I says, you can hear her say, you know, like, you know, what's wrong? Power's gone. And you can see there's a cut, you know, where he turns it back on and starts recording. Just a small, you know, sort of like it's staggered, you know, sort of like where it turned off and then it came back on, and, you know, 3 times. And that camera never worked after that night. I had to take the camera, I had to turn it off, right? took the, what do you call it, out, the tape out, and put it in. It won't work. I had to put it in another camera. I had to put it in Joe's camera, actually. And yeah, it's working. Look at it, and sort of like brilliant, you know. But that camera, nothing. Never worked again. I had to buy a new camera. You know, sort of like, I'm thinking, flipping it. I think that was the third camera. It had happened 3 times over the years when I've been filming stuff. And, you know, there'd been something where it had been turned off and it just would not work anymore. So obviously there must be some kind of, you know, sort of like maybe field around a disturbance, you know, to the electronics in the camera, obviously.
Yeah, Eric said a few minutes ago, maybe it's an EMF field around them or something.
That's right, yeah, possibly. You know, which is a bit worrying because, you know, when you're talking about, you know, with the meters and what have you, where you can see people are affected also, you know, by the frequencies. I've you know, sort of like in cattle mutilations, when they've had a look at the frequencies around and around the cattle and what have you, and they've noticed that these frequencies, you know, sort of like have caused thrombosis. You know,
Right.
well documented. In fact, I saw one program. I don't usually watch it, but it's on television. A certain place, a ranch in America, and they were talking about using meters and on these cattle, and the cattle were dead, and they were saying, look at the readings, and that reading could do this to, you know, like cause thrombosis. You know, well, the same thing applies to humans also, you know. This is why people are talking a little bit about the same thing with 5G. You know, it's one of these things. A lot of people do not like the idea of 5G.
Yeah, you know, the vibrations and frequencies are a real deal, ladies and gentlemen. They do affect people.
Oh yeah.
Now, I never tried the 5G test with the steel wool around the cell phone and see if it catches fire. Have you seen that test?
What happened? Sorry.
Where they take steel wool and put it around the cell phone, they call it, and the steel wool catches fire.
Really?
Yeah, I've never tried that test. Allegedly, that's supposed to happen with 5G, but you know, they claimed before 5G came out it was supposed to be very bad, but I don't know. You know, I never really, you know, done test or scientific study on it. But I've already heard through the grapevine they already have 6G coming out. So
Is that any better or is it worse?
it's supposed to be worse than 5G,
Oh.
allegedly. So I don't know.
The thing is, it's like, you know, like going back to when you listen to all these documentaries about Tesla, about, you know, like he did this and well, you know, is that the same principle? Did he have the same problem with this? If he was making, you know, sort of like these, you know, like phones and what have you, and other, you know, apparatus work on a Wi-Fi system, like they say, well, you know, for lighting lights up and stuff. And did he have the same problem? Was he worried about, you know, sort of like people, you know, like, you know, sort of like being made ill, you know, like with the frequencies? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, Because he never tells you, does it? It says what he did, but what was his findings? Did he find, sort of like if he's using something and we're using something very similar, is it the same principle or is it a different principle? You know what I mean? If it's Wi-Fi, was what he was doing, what he created, what was like Wi-Fi? Well, is it the same principle as what we're using today? And did it use the same, sort of like whatever to make the Wi-Fi? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So would you have the same problem with what he made as what we're having now, apparently today?
I
But I'll
don't
tell
know.
you something.
That's a good question.
I'll tell you something that I've noticed. I've had a lot of toothache and what have you. I've got fillings since I've had the 5G phone. How, you know what I mean? I'm just thinking to myself, and I haven't been well since I got, you know what I mean? I'm thinking to myself, that's a bit bizarre. I'm just wondering now whether it'll go back on the 4G.
It could be that the high vibrations of the frequency could affect you. Maybe your body's very sensitive. Who knows?
Yeah, I think it is. There's no doubt about it. But like I say, anyway. So we filmed this, sort of like round here, things coming out of the sea. Then a friend of mine, I hadn't seen him for years, and he came on holiday. He didn't know I lived up here, and he was filming something. He used to go out filming, and he filmed a ball of light in the sky, and it was in the sky for almost an hour. And around that time, other balls of light turned up, and this was full cloud. This is below cloud level, right? Yeah. And what happens is a light turns up, another one turns up 20 minutes later, then a red light turns up, then this black cloud comes along, and out of the black cloud comes two black triangles, right? And one of them goes around this ball, and the other one goes around and comes back, and that's a ball of light there, right? Yeah, and this triangle goes like that to hit it, and it goes like that to hit it, and I'm looking at opposite that, right? So it goes to hit it, and it moves back, and it goes to hit it again, it moves back, and it goes to it again, it moves back.
Yeah.
Now, and then it goes back again, and it does the same thing again. It goes to hit it again, and it goes back. It goes to hit it again, it moves. It does that. Then something comes and goes into the ball. A red object goes into the ball. Eventually, these flying triangles disappear, and this light comes along and starts coming down. And as it's coming down, you get, I think it's 5 or 6 balls of light shoot up right underneath it, like so. Now, some people that have viewed it say, well, could that be missiles trying to attack it? Right?
Yeah.
But there's 1 or 2 people think it might be people being abducted.
Oh, I never thought of that.
So at the moment, it's one of these things where we're just talking now, like we got together and we're talking about this this film, about round here and what have you. But the strangest thing of all, I mean, this is from my point of view, somebody who's an abductee who's seen all sorts of creatures and, you know, sort of like, you just won't believe it. But I was talking to a chap who rung me up on the UFO hotline I used to have, which somebody basically hacked and caused me problems. I didn't know it were working. Anyway, to cut a long story short, this chap said that this flying saucer had landed on his mum and dad's farm just up the road, and these things were walking around, and it wasn't very good at drawing, but it was, let's say we're a carpenter, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And he carved out what these things look like. I have never been so scared in my life. When I saw that, when I saw these figures, these heads, I have never felt so, you know, creeped out, sick, you know. But I've seen something similar, but these, and there was only a young lad, right? Yeah, in 50s. And what happened was, I had all the information. Somebody at my computer, the lot went, right? Yeah. But I'll never forget where he said it happened and the time, and what I saw. And he said that the military came and pulled him to one side and said to him, "Your mum and dad nice, aren't they?" Yeah. "Well, do you want to see them locked up forever?" And I think they swore at him. And he says, you know, these sold this man, he must have been an officer, treat him, and he put the willies up him. And he said, no, he said, never say anything. Keep your mouth shut. Now, obviously, he's, you know, had passed away. And he'd seen me in paper, and he's saying to me, you know, he says, and I told him that I'd seen, and he says, yeah, he said, well, I can tell you now. And he told us, right? So then the next thing, I'm told by a man who was coming home, and this is, I think it was 1959, I think it was, and or 60. Like I say, because all this had been wiped off me computer, and at the side of this and that little RAF base, there was a gold flying saucer that had landed. And the old man, right, yeah, he said, I could not believe what I was looking at. He said, at the side of the road going towards this RAF base, he says, there's a gold flying saucer. You know, so I mean, like, and this is just in this area. This is just in this area, you know. So it's just unbelievable. Then
yeah, the government knows. We know that for a fact.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. We've got big cats being seen around here. That's what I'm going to show you. There were a big cat run over by a coach, you know, like a Greyhound bus,
right?
But you know, like equivalent sort of thing. And the farmer came and put it in the, you know, the, what do you call it, the scoop. And took it away.
Wow.
Big. And I think they said it were I passed it on to somebody because I had so much to do at the time. Sort of like round here, I had so much to do, and yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
That's me in the newspaper about it. On the trail of the big cat. Say again, Chris.
I said unbelievable. That's wild.
Yeah, a black panther. It supposed to be a black panther.
Yeah.
But I was told, right, yeah, that someone told me and they said it wasn't a black panther at all. They said no. They said it was like a sable colour. It was like an off, not like a light brown. Never come across anything like that. A big cat that colour. Tiger. You know what I mean? Sort of like not a tiger. I mean a lion. You know what I mean? So what but the problem was when I started ringing around and asking people, what they'd been told was, look, like we better not say anything, and people were worried. They said, look, we're not saying anything. We know you are, and but we're not going to comment on it, So what can you do? When you're trying to find out. Obviously, the people, must have been, sort of like told not to say things, not to sort of like talk about what they'd seen and what have you. And I wouldn't, sort of like it. I was doing the sort of like the UFO part, and I passed it on to somebody that I knew, but he never did find out. And then we had another one just going towards Bridlington, where somebody said that they'd again seen a big cat. But at this point, it was hard for me to get out, sort of like and research properly. So I spent my time when I could just getting my camera out and go sitting outside, sort of like and videoing these things instead.
That's wild.
So but I've also got the things videoed before I moved over here. I've got pictures. What I'll do, right, yeah, because I've got, like I say, I've been inundated with calls over weekend, obviously, with things going in news and what have you. And I've been asked, like, don't put anything up. Don't, what I mean? If you've got anything, don't put anything up, sort of like on YouTube at the moment. Just leave it because we're coming to see you. So there's a lot going on.
Right.
There's a lot going on and sort of like, but, it's a case of one of the fascinating things is I put the camera on a night, right? Yeah.
Right.
And I'd be all right if I got the right one, wouldn't it? And so what I do is I just, because like I say, because I'm being immobile and not able to walk and what have you, so I just do this, and there we are. As you can see, that's outside. Right, yeah, I'll just turn it on to night vision. Just put night vision on. There we are. Did you see anything then?
Yeah, I can see some
You see that?
outlines. Yeah.
You see that? You're watching it live now, Chris.
Yeah.
And you see that?
Yeah.
And you see that?
Yeah.
Now, that's a bird. I can tell the difference between, right, yeah?
That's wild.
So I know I can tell what things are. You know, sort of like I can tell how they move, what's what. But there are some things that move and you're just going, what the heck is that? And I've had something and it was almost like a face coming up to the camera and looking, you know, sort of, you can actually hear, as if you turn the sound up as well, you can hear, you know, you sort of like can hear. Can you hear anything?
Yeah.
Birds, you can hear like seagulls sometimes, etc.
Right.
But what you do is you know, because I know I'm tuned into what I'm looking at. I'm looking for the things that isn't like that. I'm looking for the solid objects coming. You know what I mean? I'm looking for like sources, you know, and you can tell, you know, you can tell, I can tell what's what. And if you know, if I see something, I'll get excited. All right, then I'll save it to me PC. But it's only if it's good and I know that it's something that is not the norm. But some people get giddy about stuff.
Oh yeah, they sure do.
Some people get giddy, and I'm thinking to myself, no, please, you know what I mean? But anyway, you know, I'm still a researcher, even though, you know, it's like, and it's terrible because I get people attacking all the time, and sometimes I give stuff back, and sometimes I'm, you know, sort of like I might use an odd swear word, and I've been told stop swearing. It's not good. You know what I mean? Nothing to, but you know, don't lower the tone. But you know something. You know when when you're doing your best to show people. You know what I mean? And to get a story, it's not about me, it's about other things as well in an area.
Right.
I'm not saying, look at me, I'm saying, you know, we've done this and this has been seen here. You know, we've videoed that. And there's a load of stuff I haven't even put up yet. When I've been filming it, and I've had a group come. A group used to come over, you know, sort of like about 17 years ago. And we'd go out and what have you. And, you know, I've filmed stuff then. You know, I filmed stuff a couple of years ago. Filming something and this box turned up and it frightened me to death. You know, I've just got this terrible feeling. I got this terrible feeling to go in. And I'll stay out and film. You know what I mean?
Right.
I said, come on, I'm going in. You know, I just had this real uneasy feeling. You know, Chris, and this real uneasy feeling. It's just unbelievable.
I don't see how you do it. I don't. So what are we going to talk about on next week's show?
Well, I'm hoping, to be quite honest, we're talking about Celtic. I tell you what we said we were going to do. What we're going to talk about, and then something happened. It was something about cryptids and something that I found, and I cannot find it. And it was a Viking connection. right? Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And I found it, and I can't find it again, but I will. I'm looking at the connection to UFO. We said before, but UFO sightings and areas of great interest, and now some groups are saying that UFOs have got nothing to do with paranormal. This is what's been said. This is what's come out. A big group has turned around and they've said that, you're only looking at UFOs, nothing else, no cryptids. You know what I mean? Nothing, no sort of like not Loch Ness monsters about and what have you. And I'm looking at all this. I'm looking at stone circles, fairies, and everything. So what I've been trying to do is get this map together and then to put it on this computer, because I use the one downstairs, you see. I'll eventually get it sorted. Sort of like, but it's like, is there a connection? This is a big question.
A lot of people say there is. A lot of people say there isn't. It depends on who you ask. I mean, I'm not going to tell somebody that what they saw is not what they seen.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
Well, I mean, this is it. Like being a researcher, it's like I said, if you need to be told how to research, how to go out and what have you, I go out, look at the area, and there is one thing, and it's true, that some people will say, oh, well, looking at north because there's the brightest star in the sky, and it's not. You know what I mean? You find, what do you call it, in Cassiopeia, and then the North Star's in between. And, it's like, I know how to find it. You know what I mean? And you can tell where C is here, because that's the east. If you're on the east coast and it's at the side of you, that's your east. If you're facing down and it's on your, you know what I mean? You're looking down and you're going, well, sort of like that's still, that over there as you're going down. You know what I mean? It's like,
Well, I think that'd be a good topic. But like I said, from what I gather and what people are seeing, and what I've been told and what people are telling me, and then when I'm investigating, I mean, there's some people say there isn't, and some people say there are. Nobody's an expert. So,
well, yeah, I mean, the thing is that only the people that have been there and seen it know. But then again, you get people, like arguing with, this is a big problem, so
right.
like I get this all the time. Oh, it could have been this, it could have, have you had psychosis and, sort of like,
Right.
just unbelievable. And sort of like, oh, so you were asleep? And I said, no, you got sleep apnea. No, I wasn't asleep. I've never been abducted when I've been asleep.
Yeah.
We're on my motorbike, and sort of like you've got to have your wits about you when you're on a motorbike, traveling at speed, aren't you? You know what I mean? And when the thing is, when your passenger starts talking and telling you don't want to know, don't talk to me about this, and goes funny, and it tells you I don't want to know about UFOs and aliens. And then me girlfriend, well, she was a friend, but girl, and going through the cemetery, and she turned around and she saw this massive thing behind me, and I said, like, run. And then I disappeared for like half an hour, and they were waiting for me. Sort of like, and we had this cricket club, and I said, that's where we're going to, cricket club, and there were like 5 of us, because she had her friend, I had 2 of my mates. When I went over the road, I'm running and car came, slowed down, and I was running. What's up with you? You know, what you're crying for? And they said, that thing, it took you. I said, how do you mean? And they said, that thing, it took you. We've been back down looking for you, you know, sort of like, and you weren't there.
Yeah, see, that's wild. So, yeah. But I think they'll make a good next week's show. I think that'll be a good topic.
I'm going to get if this damn toothache goes, I'm going to have to try to settle down and get something sorted out and to get it put on this computer. You know, because there's all sorts of stories. It's amazing. Because the Celts are totally different to the Vikings. You know, like we're in these areas, and the call things different. You know, like, and yet these things have been seen. So we'll do that then, and cryptids and what have you, and what they were saying that they were seeing.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. That'd be interesting.
I'm supposed to be going an event if I get out of this place, if I can walk a bit, you know what I mean,
right?
And go to this special interest, this area of interest. I'm hoping to speak to somebody. I had him on my Facebook, and I seem to have deleted him. I don't know, because I'm having problems with my computer. Amazing story again, you know, sort of like, and I believe in what he said. You know, sort of like, so, and, you know, get an interview with him.
Oh, that'd be great.
Because he's seen one. He drew one.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
You know, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to go on my other computer and try to find where he's gone. But people do all sorts, and they send me viruses and, you know, sort of like, and I do some daft stuff. I'm not joking.
Right.
You know, people playing games and I start messing about, and sort of like, at the end of the day, it's stupid, but I think it's funny. You know what I mean? They're saying, oh, look what you've done. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
You know, sort of like, I'm so fed up with these people, and I just think it's funny, and I just sort of like do stuff back now. You know, not like acting or all, but, you know, like when you get this stuff at you, and, you know, like, I just laugh at it and sort of like, because I've got a silly nature in me. You know what I mean? I've got a daft nature in me. So it's like, see what happens. But on the positive side and serious side, you know, sort of like, I do like to research, you know, sort of like, and like I say, looking around here, the research is there, and someone was saying, can we see anything? And well, I'm going to try to work something out. I'll just give me this week.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. I hope you get feeling better.
I'm hoping. Like I say, I've taken all my antibiotics, but I've got a funny feeling I'll be having, you know, like we say in this country, you know, Labour, one out, all out. I think I've got two side by side. I think they're going to come out together.
Yeah, I know.
Not looking forward to that.
Yeah. Well, get feeling better, and from coast to coast. Yeah. And around the world, ladies and gentlemen, this is Grizzly and Russ, and we'll catch you on the next show. Godspeed.
God bless.
All right, sir. We'll catch you. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks again, Chris.
Bye-bye.
Good night. God bless.
It's a grizzly.
Should we get out of here?
No. We're gonna watch and listen.
Action.
It's a grizzly.
Oh, shit, should we run?
No.
Action.
It's a grizzly.
Oh, should we run?
Okay. It's a grizzly.
Are you sure it's not a chipmunk? Action. Nah, get out of here. Action.
It's a grizzly.
I'm out of here.
Huh. Maybe it is a chipmunk. It's a grizzly.
Are we gonna die?
I don't know. We're just gonna sit here and listen and watch.
Let's get out of here, maybe.
Fall!